I resisted this one so many times, but you kept asking for it, so keep in mind that this movie is rated PG. That being said, we're going to try to keep this video family friendly.
Now everyone has their own definition of what's family friendly, so viewer discretion is advised.
Now that we got that out of the way, let's travel back to 1988 and find everything you missed in Disney's Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Watch out, this one's going to be a gasser. The villain, Judge Doom, was played by Christopher Lloyd, who you might recognize from 1985's Back to the Future. In that movie, he played as Dr. Emmett Brown.
We're sending you back to the future!
Well, that's right, so that obviously means that there's going to be Easter eggs to Back to the Future. And in this movie, it's the tunnel that leads to Toontown. That is the same exact tunnel from Back to the Future Part 2. Felix, however, was an add-on to the movie. If you watched the movie already, you know that Judge Doom turns out to be a cartoon. If you watch closely, you will see there are many clues that they left everywhere hinting that he was a cartoon, and not actually a human. Villains often have capes, and they're always flapping in the wind. If you watch closely, even when he's inside a building, you can see his cape is gently flowing in the non-existent breeze. You also can't see his skin anywhere on his body except for his forehead, and the color seems a little bit off. Another clue is his teeth. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that they look a little bit cartoonishly fake. Also, until we find out that he's a cartoon, he never blinks once. Literally. Watch his eyes through the whole movie, I dare ya. I did. The biggest hint that Judge Doom was a cartoon is how scared he was of his own chemical cocktail. He's already wearing gloves, but he puts gloves on top of his gloves to touch the formula. And then he jumps out of the way when it spills on the ground. Another hint that we see that he's a cartoon is when he gets shot by Jessica, he doesn't die or even get hurt. Fun fact, the guy running away and yelling isn't actually Christopher Lloyd. Instead, it's Ken Ralston, the visual effects supervisor. So what's in the secret sauce that makes it so scary for a cartoon character?
Remember how we always thought there wasn't a way to kill a tune? Well, Doom found a way. Turpentine, acetone, benzene.
Well, you know that the dip is made up of 3 different things: turpentine, acetone, and benzene. These 3 chemicals are also used in real life to remove paint from animation cells. Or basically, to simplify it, it's like an eraser for the painters. Here's a creepy fact: if you slow down the cartoon train at the very end, everyone on the train is actually murdering each other. That's probably one ride you want to skip. Who Framed Roger Rabbit is a historical movie for many reasons. For example, this is the first time we see Daffy Duck and Donald Duck sharing the same stage. Speaking of sharing, since this is essentially a Disney movie, Warner gladly let Disney use their character Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck, along with a few other ones of course, with strings attached. There's always strings attached. The catch was that they had to get the spotlight for the same amount of time that Mickey and Donald had. That's why every time you see Mickey, we see Bugs Bunny, and every time you see Daffy Duck, there's Donald Duck. Of course we have hidden Mickeys though, but not hidden bunnies. Speaking of Mickey, if you're wondering who in the world is the mayor of Toontown, who else would you think it is besides Mickey Mouse himself? And apparently someone thought Goofy was a spy. That's Yosemite Sam.
Ow! My biscuits are burning!
And if you look at Eddie Valiant's gun, you will see Yosemite Sam is actually the guy who gave him that gun. It has an engraving on it that says, "Thanks for getting me out of the Hoos Gal." Roger Rabbit, the main character, is based on several things. The main point is his bow tie is Porky the Pig's tie, his pants are on loan from Goofy, his cheeks are from Bugs Bunny.
Why the knife at them guys?
And then the gloves, I know they're not white, they're yellow, but those are actually Mickey's gloves from the 1940s. And then the rest of Roger is just painted to match the American flag to brainwash the audience into liking him. Then it begins, much of the adult humor. The oven that Roger gets stuck in is made by Hotternell, which if you haven't noticed, it sounds a lot like saying hotter than. The baby also uses boxes of mouse poison to try to get up on the cookies. This is odd since Mickey is in the movie several times.
Wicked witchcraft.
The singing sword is Frank Sinatra, and he's singing the song Witchcraft.
It's witchcraft.
Now I know, I've seen the movie, technically it was made by Touchstone, it was in the intro, but in case you didn't know, Touchstone is owned by Disney, and they use Touchstone to make movies that aren't so, Disney, should we say. That being said, we have some product placement in the movie once again. A1 sauce, yes. Then of course, what else is better than putting in a cartoon besides Camel cigarettes? It's not like we're advertising. Fun fact, Disneyland is a smoke-free zone. Then of course we're advertising for Budweiser. Also there was an alcohol company that wanted to advertise on the bottle that Roger Rabbit drank that made him go crazy. And they offered $100,000 to have their logo on that whiskey bottle. But Disney drew the line there because they felt that would be crossing the line. Not underage smoking, not the excessive drinking, not the language, not the adult humor. No. not having scenes that were so bad that they would later have to go back and edit them out, but having an alcohol bottle with the company logo on it, that is where they drew the line. If you look on the wall in the bathroom, you will see graffiti saying, "For a good time, call Alice in Wonderland." I'll wait here a second for you to figure out who they're talking about. Then when Roger Rabbit sings at the bar, he says, "Nice shirt, who's your tailor, Quasimodo?"
Nice shirt, who's your tailor, Quasimodo? Woohoo!
Of course, this is a reference to Hunchback of Notre Dame, dissing on his style. Speaking of style, you want to get this shirt or other shirts that I wear in my videos, go to crazynate.com. Did you happen to hear what the password was to get into the Ink and Paint Club?
Got this password? Walt sent me.
Obviously saying Walt sent me here is a password referencing to Walt Disney. Inside the club, the penguins are from Mary Poppins, the crows are from Dumbo, the octopus is from a 1948 short called Half Pint Pygmy. Kind of a weird show. If you're going to Disneyland, you can actually find Bongo the Gorilla while you're waiting in line to go on the Roger the Rabbit's cartoon spin ride. Even though Betty Boop was famous for some controversy, we can tell that Betty Boop was the favorite character of Eddie's brother, Theodore, because if you look on his desk, you can see that he had a doll of Betty Boop sitting on his desk all dusty. And just like Betty Boop, it seemed that Jessica had the same habits. Originally, if you own the VHS version of the movie, you will find that there are a few frames in the car crash scene that was anything but family friendly. Which, since then, they had to fix it on the Blu-ray and DVD, so you don't have to worry about it anymore. But if you had the VHS, you probably want to burn it, because it's not appropriate. This is actually a habit that was inherited from Betty Boop. That's right, way back then in your great-great-grandparents' day, Betty Boop was doing the same thing. Today's survey question is this: have you ever seen Who Framed Roger Rabbit? You know, it's quite weird to see how many people watch a video about a movie they never watched. At the end of the day, I'm gonna have to say I'm a little bit disappointed that Disney let their characters be associated with this type of film. I should also say that if they took the inappropriateness out of the film, it could have been a really great film and gone down in history as a classic like Space Jam. But Steven Spielberg decided to take it a different direction. Of course, a lot of people may disagree. Obviously Disney does, they made a ride after it. So maybe I'm just crazy. Of course, another thing could be that Disney's just trying to recoup all the money they lost making the movie. That's right, originally the budget for the movie was only supposed to reach $30 million. That's nothing, right? But by the time all the ink dried, it cost the mouse over $70 million to make the movie. Speaking of money, let's look at Roger Rabbit's wallet a little bit closer. If you look in the background, you can see that's Steven Spielberg, the executive producer, Mickey Mouse, of course, the king, Roger Rabbit, and the subscribe button. Click it. One thing Who Framed Roger Rabbit did a great job on was making the cartoon characters interact with the actors. A few tricks that they used to accomplish this is using robots to move the items, and then they would later draw the cartoon characters over the robots to make it look like they didn't exist. Another thing that's commonly used in movies is a camera dolly, and that's the little track that you slide the camera on. Like this. If you look closely at the reflection of the car, you can see that camera track. Also, when the motorcycle cops crash into the car, you can see the safety mat that they landed on. The movie that they're all watching inside the movie theaters is Disney's short Goofy Gymnastics. Jessica was a new cartoon character, but she was widely based on a girl from the 1943's cartoon Red Hot Riding Hood. What's with all these old weird cartoons? The car that you see her driving is the same car that Evelyn drove in the movie Chinatown. And in Chinatown, we also have an investigator who's trying to solve a murder. We have Snow White, and instead of 7 dwarfs, it was going to be the 7 weasels. The only problem was they were burning money faster than the Joker can, so they had to cut down to 5 weasels instead of 7. Judge Doom was also supposed to have his own crow, and you can see the correlation here, the parody of the 7 dwarfs. But because of budget costs, the bird had to go. But there were a lot more celebrity cartoon characters that didn't have to go. So buckle up because here we go. Here you can see a hidden Mickey, a little tiny Mickey dot. Look in the background, Minnie is hugging RK Maroon and Mickey is a little bit jealous. A Mickey statue on the table, Daffy Duck in the newspaper, Mickey Mouse trophy on the wall, Mickey trophies, a Pluto trophy, and a Goofy trophy, and of course, Dumbo.
I know who it is.
I got him on loan from Disney. Him and half the cast of Fantasia.
Like you said from Fantasia, we have the ostrich, brooms, a hippo, cupids, and Pegasus, all from Fantasia. That's Clarabelle the cow, Ferdinand the bull, Brer Bear, along with the Tar Baby from Song of the South. These little guys at the bottom are Maleficent's goons from Sleeping Beauty. the original Chicken Little, Mickey's Orphans, Peter Pig, the Three Little Pigs, Danny, the Reluctant Dragon, and Jiminy Cricket. Snow White and the Old Hag, Little Red Riding Hood, Mr. Toad, and then the Reluctant Dragon, again being chased by Sir Gills. Toby the Turtle's kind of there. Porky selling beef. That's not weird. If you look in the window, you're going to see Dopey and Lampwick from Pinocchio. Well, Dopey's not from Pinocchio. You know what I mean. Look closely in the street and you're going to see Cinderella lost her shoe again. The electric cars aren't actually driven on tracks, they're just normal tires like a car. You can actually see them here, and the tracks that aren't even touching the ground. The final curtain call has all sorts of familiar faces like Mickey and Minnie, Daffy Duck, Pinocchio, Bambi, Pluto, Goofy, the singing harp from Mickey and the Beanstalk, Dopey, Yosemite Sam, Bugs Bunny, Tweety and Sylvester, Toby, Peter from Peter and the Wolf, Woody the Woodpecker, Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner, Jose Carioca, Droopy, Speedy Gonzales, Marv the Martian, Foghorn Leghorn, Snow White, Hector the Bulldog. Then the movie ends with Porky the Pig. Of course, only to be upstaged by Tinkerbell. Get your name in lights by clicking the join button to let me know what movie you want to talk about next. And remember, most importantly of all, gents and gentlets, share a smile. They are contagious.
I like the sound of that. That's all, folks.
Hey, share a smile. They're contagious. Can you imagine a day without smiling? That would be outrageous. Thanks for stopping by and hanging out with Crazy Nate. Make sure to leave a thumbs up if he left you feeling great. Have fun and we'll see you next time. And don't forget to subscribe.
Uh-oh, went out of pity.